Stormy African night, moon hidden, village silence. On a night when the moon hid behind heavy clouds, the village of Ndiru fell into a silence so deep that even the crickets dared not sing. The air smelled of rain and smoke, yet something heavier pressed upon the earth, something unseen, yet deeply felt. They say every generation has one night that must never be spoken of. And in Ndiru, that night began when a child stumbled upon a carved wooden mask buried beneath the roots of an ancient baobab tree, carved mask under ancient baobab roots. At first glance, the mask seemed ordinary, its hollow eyes staring blankly, its mouth fixed in a crooked smile. But those who touched it whispered of a sudden chill in their bones, as if unseen hands had wrapped around their hearts. That same evening, goats refused to enter their pens, birds scattered from the trees, and the old chief warned that no one should look too long at the mask. For it was not carved by human hands. Child discovers and touches the glowing mask. Yet curiosity is a dangerous fire. The mask was carried into the village, and with it came shadows that moved without bodies, whispers that rose without voices, and an unsettling feeling that the night itself had grown teeth. Mothers clutched their children closer, elders burned herbs at their doorsteps, but nothing could keep away the dread that seeped into every home. What was this mask? Why had it been buried so carefully, hidden from the world for centuries? And most chilling of all, what would happen now that it had been found? Stay with me, because this is the night when one forbidden object turned an entire village into a place of fear, betrayal, and unearthly judgment. Warm morning life. In Ndiru village. The village of Ndiru lay cradled between rolling hills and the endless stretch of golden savanna. At dawn, the air carried the scent of dew on tall elephant grass, and by evening, the skies blazed with the fire of a setting sun that painted everything in shades of blood and amber. Life here moved with rhythm and ritual, measured not by clocks or calendars, but by the steady beat of drums, the rustle of wind through acacia trees, and the wisdom passed down in hushed fireside tales. The people of Ndiru were proud, bound by customs older than memory. At sunrise, women balanced clay pots on their heads, walking gracefully to the river's edge to fetch water. Children laughed as they chased each other through dusty paths, their voices mingling with the bleating of goats and the lowing of cattle. Men gathered in the fields, tending to sorghum and millet, while hunters returned from the bush with meat to share among the households. Chief Baraka warning villagers about the mask. At the center of this world stood Chief Barasa, a man whose beard was streaked with white and whose voice carried authority even in whispers. He was not just a leader of laws, but also the guardian of tradition. To him, the balance of the village depended on honoring sacred places, the grove where no axe was to fall, the river where offerings of grain were cast, and above all, the towering baobab tree, its roots deep as time itself, its branches reaching like arms into the heavens. Beside Chief Barasa, two other figures quietly shaped the rhythm of Ndiru. There was Nyara, the healer, a woman with eyes sharp as a hawk and hands steady as stone. She carried pouches of herbs, seeds, and carved bones that she claimed could whisper truths when cast upon the earth. Nia watches uneasily from behind the crowd. And then there was Kito, a boy no older than 12 reigns, with curiosity burning brighter than caution. Orphaned young, he lived with his uncle, but his restless spirit often pulled him into forbidden corners of the village. He asked questions no elder wanted to answer, questions about spirits, curses, and the hidden truths buried beneath sacred soil. For years, life in Indiru flowed as it always had. Crops grew, drums sang, and children grew into adults who repeated the same rituals as their ancestors. But change often arrives quietly. Like the first shadow before the storm, villagers huddle at night, strange shadows around huts. It began with whispers, goats refusing to graze near the baobab, hunters hearing voices that were not their own, shadows lingering too long under the moonlight. Nyara warned of imbalance, of something long hidden pressing against the veil of the world. But warnings, as always, are easy to dismiss when the days remain full of laughter and light. The turning point came one dry season when rains delayed and the earth cracked with thirst. Desperation pushed Quito into the forbidden grove at the edge of the village, where he stumbled upon something that should never have been unearthed. Buried beneath the tangled roots of the ancient baobab, his curious hands uncovered a mask. Children scream at crawling shadows inside huts. Quito carried the mask back, proud of his discovery, certain he had found a treasure. But when the elders saw it, their faces drained of color. Chief Barasa rose to his feet in silence, his walking stick trembling as he leaned upon it. Nyara dropped her pouch of bones, whispering words in a tongue no child understood. Even the villagers, who knew nothing of its origins, felt their hearts tighten as though an invisible hand had reached into their chests. That evening, the drums did not sound. Fires burned lower, and mothers whispered prayers over their children as if preparing them for something unseen. The mask had returned, and with it came a silence heavier than death. Midnight ritual with herbs, mask at center. That night, the first omen came. A mother awoke to the sound of her baby crying, but when she reached into the woven basket where the child lay, she found the infant already outside, resting on the earth beneath the moonlight. No one had seen the baby moved. No one admitted to touching him. The mother swore she had heard whispers in the hut, a voice like dry leaves saying, "Come closer." The elders gathered, faces grim. Chief Barasa struck the earth with his staff and declared that no child should walk near the mask. But fear is not bound by borders. Fear seeps through cracks, through shadows, through whispers. Nia sees reflection at dawn, shadowy figure behind her. Soon, shadows began to move on their own. At dusk, shapes stretched across walls even when no one stood there. At night, children heard laughter just outside their huts, though no footprints marked the dust. The drums, once the heartbeat of the village, fell silent. No hand dared strike them. The silence itself became unbearable, thick as a blanket smothering every breath. Quito grew pale, his eyes distant. He claimed the mask spoke to him, promising to answer every question he had ever asked. If only he would listen. Mask rises into stormy sky above terrified villagers. One evening, as the sun bled across the sky, the villagers gathered in silence, staring at the mask. Without a hand to lift it, the mask rose from the earth. Slowly, as though savoring their terror, it floated upward, turning its hollow eyes upon them all. Its crooked smile widened, and though no lips moved, a voice echoed in every heart. "You buried me once, but I do not forget." Spirit erupts from mask, towering shadowy figure that night. A storm tore across Indiru, though no cloud darkened the sky. Roofs lifted, fires died without smoke, and rivers ran black as ink. When dawn broke, the mask was gone. But Quito was gone with it. The village fell into despair. Mothers wailed, fathers tore at their clothes, and even Chief Barasa's voice broke as he cried, The spirits test us. They will take everything if we do not stand together. Nyara declared that the mask's hunger had chosen a vessel, and that vessel was Quito. If they could not break the bond, the boy would be lost. And with him, the soul of the village. Mask shattered at dawn. Villagers mourn in silence. Night fell over Ndiru like a shroud of ash. The air was heavy, pressing on the lungs, and the villagers gathered around the sacred grove in silence. No fire was lit, only the pale glow of the moon filtered through the baobab branches. At the center of the grove stood Quito, or what was left of him. His eyes glowed faintly, like embers hidden in ash. His small frame shook, the mask pressed against his chest like a second skin, its crooked smile alive, devouring. Nyara raised her staff high. Lightning split the sky, striking the baobab in pale fire. She cried out, "Ancestors of Ndiru, take back what was sealed. Claim what should never walk again." The mask writhed against Quito's face. Shadows bled into the grove. Screams tore the night. And when the light erupted at last, silence fell. The mask lay shattered on the ground before the baobab tree. Dawn light pierced through the mist. Villagers knelt in silence, mourning their losses. Chief Barasa leaned heavily on his staff, exhausted and sorrowful. Nyara cradled a child nearby, her face heavy with grief but calm. Elders retell the events under the baobab, mask fragments hanging days later. The elders gathered beneath the baobab, retelling the night's events as a warning. Children listened with wide, fearful eyes. The broken fragments of the mask hung from the tree, bound with rope, swaying gently in the wind. The firelight flickered across the villagers' faces, each one solemn, each one marked forever by what they had endured. Wide shot of village under baobab, faint ghostly eyes linger, and yet, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, casting long shadows across the savannah, some swore they saw it, the faint glimmer of eyes still hidden in the baobab's shadow, watching, waiting. Because in Ndiru, no curse ever dies completely.